Okay, get this. What if I told you that a major city had a massive, man-made island right at its heart that just, well, vanished from memory? In this explainer, we're diving into the incredible story of Perth's Lost Island, a phantom landmark that was this close to being built, and whose story tells us so much about how our cities actually get made.
Just try to picture it for a second. Smack dab in the middle of the Swan River, a whole island metropolis just appears. We're talking a complete self-contained city with its own airport and even a golf course. Now, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But this wasn't just some fantasy. It was a real, detailed blueprint for a version of Perth that never happened.
So, this phantom landmark, it's way more than just some failed project. It's this absolutely fascinating story of huge, massive ambition running headfirst into the hard realities of what the public actually wants and what the environment can handle.
And I want to be clear, this wasn't some back-of-the-napkin doodle. Nope. This was a serious, thought-out proposal, and it left behind one of the city's most tantalizing what-if stories. So, you have to ask, right? Where did such a completely radical idea even come from?
To really get why anyone would even suggest building an entire island from scratch, we need to hop in a time machine. Because this idea wasn't born out of some grand, optimistic vision for the future. No, it was born out of pure desperation.
It all started with the 1929 Wall Street crash, and within just a couple of years, the shockwaves from that crash had traveled all the way around the world and absolutely crippled Western Australia. The Great Depression hit hard. People were out of work, and the government was scrambling for any solution. And it was right in the middle of this chaos that this unbelievable idea was born.
The whole project was designed to be what you'd call an economic catalyst. The goal was pretty simple: jolt the economy back to life, create thousands and thousands of jobs, get industries moving again, right when the state needed it the most. So this wasn't just about building an island. It was pitched as a genuine economic lifeline.
So, what did this lifeline actually look like? Well, it was so much more than a simple public works project. It was this truly ambitious vision for a kind of island utopia, a perfect little city floating right there on the Swan River. Of course, every huge idea needs a visionary, someone to dream it up. And in this case, that person was an engineer named Frank Vincent. He looked at all the economic devastation happening, and instead of despair, he saw an opportunity to build something totally revolutionary.
And the scale of his plan was just staggering: 120 hectares. To give you some perspective, that's like picking up 120 international rugby fields and just dropping them into the middle of Perth Water. I mean, it would have completely and utterly transformed the city's entire landscape.
And this wasn't going to be just a patch of dirt. Oh no, it was designed as a totally self-contained city. Vincent's plan had it all: neighborhoods to live in, a golf course, a shopping center, and get this, even its own aerodrome for all that modern air travel. It was literally a futuristic community, planned from the ground up.
And that was the core of it right there, the whole motivation, plain and simple. It was a project born from crisis, and it was designed to be a definitive, powerful answer to the Great Depression, a symbol of progress when things were looking really bleak.
But as we all know, that island was never built. So with all that ambition, all that planning, what went wrong? Why did this vision, which was supposed to be an economic savior, totally fail?
Well, the whole project got trapped in this massive conflict. On one side, you had the incredible promise of an economic lifeline, but on the other side, you had fierce public opposition. And that opposition was fueled by a huge concern: the unknown and potentially devastating environmental damage to their beloved Swan River.
When you look at it this way, the equation was pretty simple. And for the project, it was fatal. The vision was massive, no doubt, but public support, critically low. And at the same time, those environmental concerns were just as high as the vision itself. The whole thing was basically crushed under the weight of that public opposition.
And so, the official verdict finally came down: rejected. Frank Vincent's incredible dream of a man-made utopia was officially shelved, and it was destined to become just another forgotten blueprint in some dusty old archive.
But here's the thing about unbuilt dreams: they still leave a legacy. The story of this lost island is more than just a cool piece of history. It actually tells us something really fundamental about the forces that shape all of our cities.
You see, this whole story follows a classic pattern in how cities grow and change.
First, a crisis comes along and creates an opportunity for a radical idea. Then, a visionary steps up and proposes a bold solution. But in the end, it's always the public that gets the final say.
And that right there, that's the unbuilt legacy. The Swan River looks the way it does today, not just because of geology, but because of a fierce public debate almost 100 years ago. It's just this powerful reminder that the collective voice of a community can literally shape the ground beneath our feet.
And that leaves you with a really fascinating question to think about. What grand visions for your own city were dreamed up but never actually built? What sort of phantom landmarks are hidden away in your town's archives? And how different would your home be today if they had actually become a reality?